Today turned into a pretty interesting day for the entire NFL. A massive trade involving Maxx Crosby just completely fell apart, which suddenly puts the Las Vegas Raiders in a very tough situation. Meanwhile, the Broncos lost defensive safety PJ Locke. Another AFC team added a wide receiver that was of interest of the Denver Broncos. And a really interesting fact about NFL free agency just came out that could shift a lot of fans' minds. So today we're going to break down everything we learned about the Broncos and what it means for Denver going forward, and why this free agency stat might actually explain the Broncos' strategy this offseason. Welcome to 5280 Playbook. I'm Kason, bringing you football from a mile high. And if you love the Denver Broncos or the NFL, make sure to drop a like and subscribe so you don't miss the next video. Alright, let's talk some football. So this is everything we learned about the Broncos today. Dre Greenlaw will be released after the new league year and designated a post-June cut. Broncos will save $8.2 million in cap space this year. So that is a big news. It also lets us know that Dre Greenlaw won't actually be officially released until around June. And also, we lost one of our safeties, PJ Locke, to the Dallas Cowboys. Some breaking news from the NFL: the Baltimore Ravens have backed out of their deal with Maxx Crosby. They will get their 2 first-round picks back, and from what I'm seeing, it sounds like Maxx Crosby just failed a physical. Something that gave me a pretty good laugh is Zach Stevens went to X and said, "I hope Sean Payton didn't already pay for that private jet for Maxx Crosby to go to Baltimore." You can't help but laugh at that. That is too funny. Zach Stevens also went out to say that we know that the Broncos fans aren't thrilled, but at least we didn't back out of a big deal such as that. And the medical concerns for Maxx Crosby were very real in this situation. We know that he had knee surgery and was supposed to be recovering. However, he simply did not pass the physical. And I guess the Ravens just got cold feet and were like, yeah, never mind, you can have him back. I don't want to take that risk. Which, I mean, is understandable, but then again, it's Maxx Crosby. You know he's going to come back and he's going to be just fine. However, there are reports that the Raiders are already getting offers from other teams, and they're also trying to figure out what they can do to get Maxx Crosby ready for the start of the season. So the big question is, are they going to end up moving on from him? In my opinion, they almost have to after all the contracts they had signed in free agency this year. They did that after the fact that Maxx Crosby was traded. However, they might still have enough money to keep him around for another year or two, but they just won't have any room for anyone else. However, we should know by 4 p.m. Eastern Time what's going to happen with Maxx Crosby, whether they'll keep him or try to trade him away. But hopefully this time the team doesn't back out because of a failed physical, because there's no way he's just going to pass a physical 2 or 3 days later. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense. But one thing to note, the asking price for Maxx Crosby is going to drop. I don't expect the Raiders to be able to continue to ask for 2 first-round picks, as many of their big buyers have already signed free agents, and they just don't have the cap space to obtain Maxx Crosby. But I want to know what y'all think of the situation. Do you think the Raiders are going to trade Maxx Crosby again, or do you think they're going to keep him on the roster? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. The Broncos draft picks have officially been released. We know we have first-round pick 30. We have obviously a 2nd round, 3rd round, 4th round, 5th round. We do not have a 6th round pick this year, but that's really no big deal. We do have 3 7th round picks. A bunch of them are comp picks. And we do also hold Mr. Irrelevant pick, which the majority of us are aware what Mr. Irrelevant is now because of Brock Purdy. Some other news is the Patriots have signed Romeo Doubs. I was really high on Romeo Doubs. I was kind of hoping that we would sign him, but it makes sense why we didn't. Because the Patriots signed Romeo Doubs for $20 million a year. $20 million a year, and the receiver has yet to go over 1,000 yards. Zach Stevens even puts it here, he understands why the Broncos stayed away, and I feel like I do as well. And here's the comparison between Doubs and Troy Franklin. Very similar numbers. Of course, Troy has a few more catches for less yards, but they still got the same production of 6 touchdowns. And there is a 3-year age gap between the two. And as Zach Stevens mentioned, Troy is also ascending, and he's going to continue to get better, and I really think next year will be his breakout year. I know we said it last year, but I really have a good feeling about this next year, as well as Marvin Mims. Marvin Mims is going to be sneaky good for us next year, I can just tell. The Broncos do lose one of their key pieces, PJ Locke, to the Cowboys. He signed a 1-year deal for $5 million, and I'm nothing but happy for PJ Locke. He's an outstanding player, outstanding person. He developed from special teams all the way up to what he will be now as a starter. He was a great backup safety for us, and he came in even after a back surgery and did amazing for us when Brandon Jones went down in the season. I wish PJ Locke nothing but the best, and to the Cowboys fans, you got a good one. PJ Locke also went out and posted his farewell to the Denver Broncos, basically thanking us for 7 years, and wanted to make sure he thanked all the fans, the coaches, and the teammates, and pretty much everyone that was involved, including the front office, which we know the Broncos have one of the best front offices in the entire league. Much love for you, number 6, and good luck with the Cowboys. But here's something that's really intriguing to me. One of the most fascinating stats that I've ever seen. Zach Stevenson reports it here that only 5% of the players that change teams in free agency make it to the Pro Bowl the following year. So the big signings that we're seeing with massive numbers involved, those players have a 5% chance of making the Pro Bowl. That just blows my mind because we're convinced that these players are going to change the teams, they're going to change the way that they play, and there's some cases that they do, that 5%, but let's be real here. Would you rather have the Broncos spend a crap ton of money on free agents or re-sign the guys that they've already developed into amazing players? I go for option number 2. Though it would be awesome and exciting to have first option and all that good stuff, the second option is more stable. And more wins happen with the second option. And what I mean by that is look at the entire trajectory of the free agency period. Which teams are spending the most money? It's the teams that didn't make it as far as we did and that have a lot of money because they don't have any talent on hand or, as I said yesterday, in-house. So if you're a Broncos fan and you had a rough first day and you're very frustrated, it's understandable, but there's no reason to be frustrated. We're going to be just fine. We're going to be perfect. And it's a great day to be a Broncos fan. It's always a great day to be a Broncos fan. Who am I kidding? One of the major trade targets that was linked to the Denver Broncos has completely been shut down, and that is Brian Thomas Jr. out of the Jaguars. Adam Schefter reported today that there would be no possibility that he would be getting traded, and he shut it down completely. He said that this will not be happening, but there still is hope. Let's take a look at all the free agents still available. But keep in mind that 5% stat. Obviously, there's big names like Tyreek Hill. I rather not, and I think you can understand why. However, there are 2 names that really stick out to me the most. Although I would be okay with a 1-year deal for Deebo Samuel, however, I just think the asking price will be a little too high. But the 2 names that stick out to me are Juwan Jennings and Darnell Mooney. Juwan Jennings has played for the 49ers his entire career, and he has put up some pretty good numbers. In 2024, he posted 975 yards. However, in the past season, he only put up 643 yards, but still pretty good production, and you have to keep in mind the injuries that happened to the 49ers this past season. He still managed to get 9 total touchdowns, so that tells you that he gets open and is available for a touchdown catch at any time. He's 28 years old. We could probably sign him to a 1 or 2 year deal to give him a trial run with the Broncos to see if he does well, kind of like a prove it deal. And as a fan, that would ease my mind thinking, okay, well, at least we did something. And I know what you're thinking, Darnell Mooney? Like what? Well, let me tell you something. He's also 28 years old. He played for the Falcons and the Bears. Majority of his career was spent with the Bears. However, when he was with the Bears, he had a 1,000-yard season. He's an amazing receiver, and he's very much talented enough to still produce the same numbers. And what I mean by that, in his first season with the Atlanta Falcons, he went for almost 1,000 yards. Now, his second season, he didn't perform near as well. He only got 400. However, we all saw the dumpster fire that happened with the Falcons. So how much can you blame on him? It's just a thought and idea. He's a great route runner. He's very capable of doing all the things that we need him to do. So don't flame me too much on this one in the comments. It's just really an honest take. There are plenty of free agents still available. And like I said, we were going over all this list earlier. There's still David Njoku out of Cleveland, Jonnu Smith out of Pittsburgh, Dallas Goedert, and Taysom Hill. Honestly, I could see a real possibility of a reunion for Sean Payton bringing in Taysom Hill, which I would be okay with completely. Taysom Hill is an amazing player. He can play many different positions. He's really a versatile player. But don't freak out, the Broncos haven't made a lot of moves because this first wave of free agency is very high-paying moves, big signings, big names, all this other stuff. But yet again, remember that statistics that only 5% of those signings will actually make the Pro Bowl in the following year. Alright, Broncos country, that's all the latest moves, signings, and rumors coming out of Denver for now. The legal tampering period is already underway, and free agency will officially begin today at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So there's a real possibility that we could see some big deals coming out of Denver really soon. Who do you think the Broncos will target next? And when do you think it'll happen? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next Broncos update. And as always, tune in next time for football from a mile high. High five.